So this is a video about my new machine I made in Besiege. It's a quadcopter that's stabilized by angle meters. I spent a few days working on this and I'm relatively happy with the result. It's pretty stable. It controls okay. It's a lot better than what I could make before this update came out, that's for sure. I spent way too long on this thing. It's just, you know, a lot of work putting in all the values and stuff and then fixing it when it breaks because I messed it up. I'm going to do a explanation. This thing uses 6 angle meters on each axis, I suppose. On that cross you see in the middle there, each one uses 6 angle meters for 12 in total that control the 8 propellers on the outside. I'm gonna get into the explanation now. So basically, this stuff here, these are all related to controlling the machine. So these are the D-pad keys. You only get one on at a time, which is much more ideal for controlling this machine rather than having keys that overlap when you go diagonal. This is for the up-down motion and turning left and right. These tell the machine whether you're going forward, backwards, left, right on the D-pad. It's just, it allows me to fit more keys onto one key, basically. These are for, this and that are for stabilizing the machine when it's not tilting. And each one of these are an input to one of the sensors, where this is like the most gentle correction here, and this is the most extreme. They sort of go straight up, except here where they kind of split, where this one goes to that one and that one. There's a bunch of sensors that are shaped like sort of dishes, sort of craters, if you can imagine that. That's a really horrible way to say that. Let me just show you. Where basically they look like that, see? And the way you can tell which way the machine is facing is with a sensor that's straight up and down, where it just tells you if the machine is going left or right on a respective axis. And this part here is what switches between left and right, and this bit is just a little thing that, like, here it's easier to show you, where if it's like at an extreme angle, see, all of them will turn on, and that's not ideal for using this setup of control. So these cut it off with some XOR gates, and it just works, you know? It just works. These output to 8 propellers on the outside operating at a pretty high speed for gentle correction, which is why these timer blocks here run in a loop when they're triggered by these, which run 2 keys in most cases, but only 1 key for the most gentle because it was still too fast. And they pulse it very rapidly to give you a sort of analog output. And yeah, variable. These ones just go directly because it's the sort of emergency setting for if it's like sideways, which it never really recovers from being sideways anyways, so whatever. Moving on. These are for when you press the D-pad and you want it to tilt forward like that. And they're basically the same thing as these, except for forward. And it was kind of annoying figuring all this out. I have like 6 pieces of paper with just like keys written down. And you'd think this whole key emulation thing would be really like simple and stuff. But, you know, once you start trying to do like actual logic and things like that, it becomes a fucking nightmare. I've used like the entire keyboard at this point. Like literally my entire keyboard, with the exception of like 3 or 4 keys, is used in this machine, which is why it has to control with my Xbox controller. And it was just an utter nightmare. I hated every moment of making this thing. I'm so glad it's done. I'm not making anything else in this like this again. Nightmare. Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. This is the end of the game. This is the end of the video. If you liked this video and you want to tell me how much you hated it, leave a comment. And if you really like this video,